Welcome to Dodgers Dogs. As part of the Dodgers Daily Network, Casey Porter here, joined by a very special guest, very special to me, because there's crossover. Coach, I got to show me the logo there. Show me the logo. Oklahoma State. Hey, by the way, I talked to Austin Chubb yesterday, and he was talking about Jeff Salazar, who is the outfield coach in the minor league system, and then also the base running kind of coordinator, if you will. You guys didn't play together. Jeff, he came out of Putnam City, went to Connors, and he was only there for 1 year at OSU. Awesome year. He stole 23 out of 25 bases. Great player. He could bunt like a sucker, man. He was awesome at bunting. And then you were right after him. You had some crossover with players, though. Do you guys talk a lot?
Yeah, we spoke about our time at OSU. Obviously, I did get to meet him on my visit when Josh brought me in. So I knew about him, I knew of him, and I saw he had a really successful season, and then he obviously left. So yeah, we reminisce a little bit about the times and the players that we played with. Actually, one of his really good friends lives here in Phoenix. Again, that I didn't play with, but we've kind of crossed paths in real estate. He sells a lot of homes in Phoenix. So yeah, for sure. We've definitely talked about who we played with and then the amount of fun and TH stories and things along that line, for sure.
I'm sure the TH stories go on for days, right?
Yeah.
All right. And cool that he's an outfield coordinator. You're an infield coach. So the first thing I wanted to ask you about that, Dino Ebel, he's thought of as maybe the best infield coach in all of the game of baseball. Can you kind of give us what it's like getting to work with him, getting to learn from him, and maybe some of the things that you picked up from him?
Yeah, Dino's awesome. There's a reason he's been around for a long time. He actually transitioned this past year with Chris Woodworth joining the organization in the first base coaching role. So he transitioned into the outfield, but he had been pretty much the infield coach with Anaheim and with us the first few years. And yeah, just his professionalism, the way he goes about his daily, work every day. He's on time. He's essentially waiting for the players. Like the players are never waiting on him. That's something I try to, make a point when I was out in the field is like, you say you're going to be out there and do something, make sure you're out there before the players are. And then a lot of the things that I picked up from him was a lot on the bases. Obviously, he's, well-renowned base coach. I picked his brain a lot on that and the keys and things that he looks for. And, he always used to stay stylistically like, please don't try and imitate or do any like myself or anyone else. He's like, I'm not saying it's 100% what I do is correct. This is just the things that work for me. So make sure you do things that are going to work for you. But we do have some philosophies that I do believe in, and I think you should apply when you're over there as well. And I did. And we were really successful this past season. The last few years in OKC, we've been really successful at running the bases, this year being our best year.
No doubt about it. Very aggressive, too. So, you talked about the handoff from one player to the next, whether it be pitching coaches knowing each other and saying, hey, this is what this guy does. And then also, you talk about maybe a hitter or position player. Do you have that handoff to where you call the third base coach from maybe AA Tulsa, which was Cordell Hipolito, and say, hey, Cordell, can you tell me about the way this guy runs the bases? Do you do that?
Yes. So I am in constant communication with the major league staff, especially since we have so many guys that go up and down. I would constantly either text or call Chris Woodworth or Dino or together, however we did it, and let them know like what this player can do on the bases, on the infield, some things to look for, some things that you're going to have to coach him up a little bit on. He still hasn't, really gotten it. I know it's great that he's getting his opportunity, but he still needs to coach him a little bit as far as when it comes to these situations along the lines. And then as far as Cordell, yes, me with him, any player that came up, he would always give me a heads up, like, hey, Chris, this guy's struggling with this, or hey, this guy's really, really good with this. That's his strength. Let's, if he gets an opportunity to play, make sure that you're able to jump on that. And then he's like, just do what you do. And I would do the same thing back. If the player went back down, I would tell, hey, Cordell, emphasize the things that you spoke about, and then these are the things we were working on before we unfortunately got sent back to you. I think we're in the right place. Let's try and keep that structure.
everybody needs to be themselves. You need to have your niche in terms of, hey, when do I send a guy with, the feel that you have for every player. That's going to be different. But does Dino set does he set maybe standard wide rules in terms throughout the system? Like, hey, these are some rules we're going to live by, like never get thrown out for the first out at third base, or hey, the ball has to be the runner has to be touching third before the outfielder touches the ball for you to send him, unless there's a certain amount of. Are there standard rules like that everybody has to live by?
No. Dino doesn't set any rules as far to us. He might have his own set that he keeps internally, but he doesn't put any pressure or make anything mandatory as far as how we do things. Some of those little baseball intricacies of the unwritten rules of like, don't get thrown out of third with less than, I think sometimes that is what scares players into making mistakes.
Right.
So we really try and like emphasize, if we're going to be aggressive on the bases, we're probably going to make a mistake here and there, and let's just learn from it. And I think we were the only team in baseball that went first to home and didn't get thrown out all year.
Yeah, and with no outs a lot of times too. Yeah.
Right. We might have had one, I think. And I think if you went back and if we were a major league team, you would have replayed it, the runner would have been safe. So nice. Those little things. So I think that setting a standard for the player of like, don't be afraid to mess up, and you're going to, and it's okay. Let's just learn from the opportunity and learn from the situation. If we felt like there was a few times where we had some runners at second get caught on the inside move when we had a rushing at the plate or in a key situation with two outs, and it was like probably not the smartest time to be trying to take third base right there. But hey, it is what it is. I'm not gonna jump you on it. I just want you to learn from it, and this way when you go up to the big leagues, just remember that situation when you got picked off and then Shohei's in the box, like, ooh, probably, even though I can get this guy, probably want to stay here.
Yeah, hey Andy, don't try to steal second base here, right? Shohei, that kind of. So yeah. So I'm sure, standard, I'm sure some guys have green lights, other guys have red lights, some probably have both. Like, hey, you have a green light until I give you a red light. Some guys don't do anything until I give you a signal, right? So can you kind of take us through that as far as that formula for you?
Yeah, so we kind of run the offense based on what the manager wants that night, or his philosophy as far as running the run game. In the past, Trav kind of gave me the okay to kind of run it on my own until he gave me a signal like, hey, from now on, like, look at me, I'll take over from here. Henny was pretty similar. He pretty much gave me the green light, and then in certain situations, whether it's like a 3-2 count or first and third situation, how are we going to start the runners? Do we want the runner from third going? If the throw down, I would always look over in the dugout, and we had our own standard signals of like, hey, we're going to go in this situation, or we're not. We're going to hold the runner. And a lot of it is dictated or predicated on how the defense is playing. I could tell a long times, like, if they're going to throw through or not based off how the infielders react on the pitch before. So I'd look at Henny, and he might say like, oh, I don't want that runner running. I'd be like, they're not throwing, so let's run. And he'd go, okay, if that's your feeling, then go with it. And a lot of times it worked out. Like, we were pretty much on the same page almost every time. There weren't too many situations where we were off. Couple situations where the runner at third didn't go. And those times, sometimes the runner is again, like, you tell them, and then like the situation happens and it kind of frees up, and a deer in headlights type of situation. We're like, oh, sorry, I meant to go. So those are the things. Like, that's part of being in the minor leagues and the process and learning on a daily basis.
Henny, the manager there this past season, he coached third forever. One of the most competitive human beings of all time. One of the most competitive human beings of all time. So him with having such a long history of coaching third, I was kind of curious who was going to coach third this last year for AAA Oklahoma City. Was there a lot of communication like, hey, this is what I would have done, or did he just leave you alone?
He pretty much left me alone. He trusted the way I ran the game. He's a little bit more, I would say, aggressive than I am as far as sending runners home. I tend to be a little bit more calculated, and I kind of go on the Dino end. I tend to kind of I kind of wanted to replicate my game style towards more of the way Dino runs it. And speaking with Ron Renicky a lot, he did a lot of coaching of third base, and just I tend to think that I like to think the situation out, and I'm not just sending players needlessly. And not saying that that's what Henny does. I'm just saying he has a little bit more of an aggressive style than I am, because there'd be situations when he would mention, "Oh, I would have sent him, but good job, you didn't." But he would say, like, I would have definitely sent him. And I was like, yeah, I mean, look, I don't think there's a wrong or right in some of those situations. It's just your style. You like, if you don't mind making the out, I tend to put a lot of thought in, like, who's coming up behind, who's on deck, the situation, how many outs, how many pitches has that pitcher thrown? Are we going to give him a free out at the plate or a free out at third? And now we get him out. He's struggling. So those are the things that I tend to kind of roll through my brain real quickly as things are happening. And again, I'm not sure there's a right or wrong. There are coaches in the big leagues that you've seen that are really aggressive. And, sometimes it works that season. And then other seasons you see that they get bit. And it's just kind of based off that. You run into a year where guys are just making perfect throws on every guy you send. You're like, man, what throw the ball up the line once. So, I don't really think there's a right or wrong. And like I said, he trusted the way I did it. And, the success and the outcome spoke for itself.
You're the infield coach, and I say that to say I always thought it was an interesting mix to where, hey, you have a third base coach. I always assume, like kind of in football, usually your offensive coordinator is like your quarterback's coach or at least one of the offensive position coaches. So how does that work with your hitting coaches to where you're not even on the offensive side in terms of a position coach, but yet you're running the entire offense? How does that work with the hitting coaches?
Well, see, we do a daily presentation to the team on how we're going to run the offense that day. So we'll go over the strategy of the pitcher, and we'll discuss internally, like, hey, guy, and I'll speak with them like, hey, this is going to be a tough guy to run on. So let's make sure we're up there getting our A swings off, doing damage. We're going to need to slug our way around the bases today. He's really quick to the plate. They have a really good catcher, things along that nature, and vice versa. There might be days of like, hey, I'll talk to the hitting guys like, hey, man, I have a huge tip on this guy. Yeah. And we're going to run. And I don't care who's hitting. We're going to run, and I don't care who's on base, because the tip is so drastic that we're going to be safe every single time. Like, we had a guy in Vegas, and I said, I won't name the pitcher, but I'll say, like, this guy does not throw to first base. And I told the runners that. And I said, hey, if you get on first base, I get a 18-foot lead. And as soon as he tips his cap up and down, run. Yeah. He will not. All he's going to do is step off. He has the yips throwing to first base. And I think we stole like 7 bases in the game. And like everybody that was on base went on the first pitch. They didn't even wait. And our leads were just ginormous. And so those are the things that we go over as a staff. And part of my job, on a daily basis, is going over their staff up, 1 through 13, and finding any little tip I can to give our guys so we can have success.
I'm sure you have all this information, but I'm sure there's also times where, you like, baseball's such a hard game, especially hitting the baseball. You're like, we need some momentum here. I'm going to send this guy if I have a chance, even if I know it's probably not the right baseball thing to do, but I just feel like I need to put some momentum into our dugout. Do you ever do that?
Yeah, absolutely. Like we had a string there where, half our team was in the big leagues and the other half was kind of hurt. So we had
Elijah Hainline was playing for you and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we had some stretches there where we needed to manufacture runs other than hitting the home runs. And Hainline was great. He was a little spark plug for us. He had no fear. He basically won us the game in Sacramento. Yeah. Late in the game, no doubt. He got a hit, and then he immediately stole second and third on like consecutive pitches, and we were down by 1 run. And I was like, wow. And he's just like, I was just going off what you said. Is that okay? And I was like, hey, I appreciate the fact that you were listening. Yeah. And then we ended up, I think the next guy hit a double, and so we scored a run, and the next guy got a hit. Next thing you know, we win the game 4-3 or 5-4. But he basically won us the game by his aggressive running style. Yeah. But yeah, there has been situations where you're just like, man, we're just not scoring. and it's a 3-2 count, runner at first. He's running, and the ball sits down the line, and you're like, it's like the 6th inning, and you've got no runs, and you're like, I just let's take a shot and let's hope someone makes a bad throw here. We need 2 perfect throws. All we need is one of these relays to be off.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so for sure, that definitely comes into play.
Yeah. So the contact play, we saw that in the World Series where Miguel Rojas threw it home. The contact play is when you have a runner at third and less than 2 outs. That's almost an automatic. As long as it comes out as a ground ball, I call it below your eyes. You don't even wait to see if it gets past the pitcher. You're just gone if it's a ground ball, right? Can you explain that? And is that something to where that's automatic until you tell the runner that it's off, or is that something that you have to tell them first?
Yeah, it's based off what the manager wants to do. I know in the big leagues, we don't run the contact play that often.
Oh, really? Okay.
We run it with certain players.
Okay.
But we don't run it as often as most things. It's not, everyone has kind of like their own philosophy on it. If you speak to certain people that have coached third base or managed in the big leagues that are in an organization, they would tell you with him or them, it was always on.
Yeah.
With with 1 out and a runner at third, it was always on. Any infield in. Some are like, well, listen, like if you got 1 out and then you have Shohei behind,
right?
Like, is it worth running because they're probably going to walk Shohei, and now we have a chance for a big inning at first and second. Well, if there was just a runner at first, they probably won't walk him and they'll pitch to him, which is great for us. But we now have potential of having a 3-run homer instead of a 2-run homer. So everyone's different. In the minor leagues, I can tell you, like, Henny and Trav ran it pretty much exclusively every single time with 1 out.
Yeah.
I would say if you have a very slow runner at third, to me, it's like you're going to be out at home. So I think there needs to be a little bit more of like a thought into like that. Like, why are we just going to give away this out at home when maybe the pitcher might throw a pass ball and we could score that way, or an error happens, so everyone has their own take on it. I would say first and third and the infield's in, you always run it contact play.
Yeah, because they're going to try to run double play. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and if they don't, that's perfect for you.
Yeah.
Simply at third. And it's a really tough play to run with a lefty. Like in the situation we had in the World Series, they had Varsho up.
Open throwing lane to third. Yeah. Tough to get a lead.
Colorado has a play and it's in their system. If they feel you're running contact play, they either the first or second pitch will throw an abbreviated pitch out with a lefty up, abbreviated pitch out, and they're coming to third immediately. They throw the ball right at the runner.
Yes.
And we tell the runners, obviously, stay in the lane, stay high, stay big, stay tall, so you can get hit with the ball. But you're human, and you see a ball coming at you. A lot of times, guys duck or get out of the way.
I'm ducking. Back of my head, hell no, man.
It happened to us twice, not this past year.
Yeah.
The last year in Albuquerque, Trey Sweeney and Ryan Ward both were caught in consecutive days. And we had shown the video previously that, hey, they run. Yeah. They run this play, so be aware of it. And both guys said the same thing. They're like, I just froze when the ball was thrown at me and I ducked. And I was like, I know, I understand. I get it. It's hard to do. So I don't think their runner did anything wrong in this situation. People are criticizing the secondary and the lead, but if you watch, their third base coach told them where to stand.
Yeah, right.
So you can't blame the runner.
Right.
Like if the coach is telling you where to stand, then that's where they wanted him to stand, because they were comparing it to Mookie.
Yes.
In the next inning, where he was thrown out at home, his lead was 8 feet bigger. Well, there was also a right-handed hitter, so his lead could be much bigger. And we all know, like, Mookie's extremely fast, and he has great instincts on the bases, so he knows what he's doing. And I know Max said something this week that they might have had a play on if he was going to get a bigger lead. I'll trust him that they probably did. And vice versa. Like, there's no way that the catcher for the Toronto was going to try and backpick Mookie in the 11th inning. So Mookie knew he could get off.
Yes, right.
And he was thrown out by 5 feet, and he had such a great jump, while their runner was barely out, and everyone's like, "Oh, if he would have just gotten this." I was like, "Yeah, it's easy to say that, but it's tense moments. You don't want to make a mistake." You have a really good contact hitter at the plate that hits a lot of line drives. The last thing you want to do is get doubled up and end the inning that way. So there's a lot of factors that came into it. I don't think that player did anything wrong.
Yeah, the solution is don't hit a ground ball with the infield drawn in like that. That would be the solution there. So
right.
The last base running thing I wanted to ask you, with 2 outs. I know typically speaking, there's a saying that the odds of them screwing up a relay, you said that just a minute ago, are better than the next guy getting a hit, right? So do you send guys more with 2 outs, even if you know they're probably out with 2 good throws?
Yeah, 2 outs is like tends to be your more aggressive situation. You would normally, especially based off like a lot of it's based off of like the depth of the infielder that's going out for the relay. You start to see them go really deep. That's a hard throw for them. That's not a throw that they normally make. So you're really being aggressive. You're sending them for sure. Right. Like late in the game, I think 2 outs, you only have so many outs left, especially if you have the lead. Hey, let's see if we can sneak an extra run here. Depending on where you are at the lineup, there's a lot of things. I don't think of it as an always send or 100%. Some coaches do. I've seen coaches on the other staffs and other teams we play, they send run every single time with 2 outs. To me, I think that's a little careless. Like if you got Andy Pajes playing right field and you hit a one hopper to him,
absolutely,
and you got a runner at second and he's coming downhill, you're going to be out. So unless he airmails it, but he's a professional, outfielder. He's going to be able to throw it in the vicinity of the base. And you're going to be out. So let's be smart about it. Same thing like when Mookie was out there was no way I would ever run if he got a one hopper. I asked Ron Renicky, that was a great question because I asked Ron Renicky the exact same thing in his time at coaching third base. And he said, it's funny you asked. He goes, I always used to send runners until Ichiro Suzuki got in right field.
Yeah.
He goes on consecutive days. He threw out, I don't remember the player, one of our faster runners. He said, I didn't think on either play he had even there was not even a shot. It was a rollover through the floor hole. Runner at second got a great secondary, great jump off the ball, 2 outs. I didn't even think he was going to come up and throw.
Yeah.
And both times he threw our runner out. And after that, I was like, well, one, I'm never running again on Ichiro ever again. And he said he never did.
Yeah.
He never ran.
Awesome.
That was like, hey, Ichiro's in right field. We're not going first to third. We're not going second to home. And he said, and then after that, I started thinking about like, just because there is 2 outs doesn't necessarily mean we have to send the runner.
Yeah, right. Right.
So it was just a cool story that he told me. He's like, I've never seen a guy like that throw the baseball the way he did. He goes, every single time it was right on the mark. And every single time it was perfectly like a perfect taggable throw.
Yeah. Yeah, so a couple of I lied. A couple more questions here. I love the base running aspect though because I think it's so overlooked. But is there ever a time in the minor leagues to where maybe the score is like 9-0 and you've got a guy at the plate and you like him? He's really like a Ryan Ward who hasn't had a major league opportunity, and you send a guy home or just to try to get maybe him another RBI just to help him as far as his stats go. That, and then also with a big lead, have you ever like send a guy because you do have a right fielder with an Andy Paez arm, you just want to see it? Like, I just want to see his arm.
That I have not done. The other thing, as far as like, if we do have a big lead, and one of the toughest things is to coach third or coach the bases when you have a big lead, especially in the PCO where the leads can 9-0 sometimes, and some of the stadiums is really nothing.
Yes, right.
In our ballpark, it's actually one of the truer ballparks in the league. So 9-0. You're a little bit more conservative, but I always think of it as like if the hitter did his job and with a sac fly, if that's his RBI, he earned it. Why is it? It shouldn't be my job to hold that runner at third base.
Right.
As far as like to running up the score, we're not running up the score. We're just playing the game. Now I will definitely shut down the stealing. But I won't shut down like guys going from first to third and second to home. 17-0. I might put the brakes on. Like, hey guys, we're still gonna go, but like if make sure we're standing up at the bases that we're advancing to. Let's not make a play. If there's not, if you can't make a play, let's keep coming. If you think the guy's going to come up and throw and you're going to have to slide, let's go base to base from here on out. But yeah, I definitely don't ever take away anything from the hitter that he did his job in that situation, because there's going to be times in the year where he doesn't. It's a close game and he might not get the job done. So do I think they even out? No. So that's why I always want to get that hitter their RBI, because I believe they earned it.
Yeah, you ever had a player round, usually whenever you're rounding third, you go down the line and you wait to see the throw. You ever had a player where you waited a little bit too long and you had them round, they fell down and couldn't quite get back, and you're like, my bad, bro.
Yeah, I had it this year. It was a really, really late hold.
Yeah.
And I mentioned it to him. I couldn't believe that he was able to stop.
Yeah.
I was like, I even came back to the dugout and I was like, I can't believe I didn't blow his knee out just now.
Yeah.
It was a really, really late hold on my end. I got boxed out by like the second baseman dove, and then the pitcher ran in my sight lines, and I was trying to juggle and like get around them. and next thing you know, I didn't see the ball, and then I saw it like in the air, and this guy was like 5 feet from me, and I was like, no, gave him the hold up, and he just was able to slam the brakes on and like get back. And I was like, I'm so sorry. I said, I can't believe that you're not hurt, and I apologize to you. And he's like, oh, no big deal. And I was like, no, that is a big deal. I shouldn't have done that. So that's probably the only time that's ever happened. And so I got lucky. But it was just a weird situation where, like I said, it was, for some reason, the pitcher was running at me and not home to cover. And so I was blocked out. And I think it actually happened in Tacoma. Yeah. And anyways.
Yeah. And then the Ryan Ward inside the park home run for the walk-off. When did you make your mind up when you're like, oh, damn, that monkey's going to jump on his back between third and home?
Well, when I saw who picked up the ball to throw it, I won't.
Were you like screaming, "Come on, Wardo! Come on, baby!"
Yeah, I mean, I know Wardo was always busting out of the box, so I wasn't worried about him being able to send him, because that's really where it's based off. If you don't run out of the box, that pretty much shuts down that play, right?
Yes.
And you can always kind of tell once they hit it. I always peek back to kind of get a guess, like how fast are they going, and you could tell he was booking it.
Oh yeah.
So then when I saw the center fielder overrun it, I saw the high hop, and I was like, oh, don't bounce over the fence. And it tipped off like the top part of the wall and rolled past the center fielder, and then he couldn't find it. Well, then the left fielder is running over, and the left fielder, one of many talents, one of them is not throwing or arm strength. And in that decision, and I saw how far their shortstop had to go out. He was way too far out anyway. So there's a good chance, even if the center fielder picked that ball up, I was going to send Wardo because of how far the shortstop was out. And as it wasn't even close of a play at home. But yeah, basically when that left fielder picked the ball up, I made the decision to send him.
Yeah, and it's always funny.
We're gonna win this game right here.
It's always funny in the minor leagues. It's the first game of a doubleheader, so it's like you're celebrating the fact you just won a game. There's no doubt about it. That's number one. But you're also celebrating the fact it's the first game of doubleheader, and we're not freaking going extra innings, right? That's
exactly.
Always a fun part. Okay, so let's get into the defensive part. Tell me all about Alex Freeland as far as his shortstop skills, playing third base, second base, the improvements he's made, some of the things that you worked with him on. Tell us all about the defense of Alex Freeland.
Yeah, obviously Alex had a really successful year. He made his major league debut. He had a lot of success defensively in the big leagues, which was great to see. And we knew that going in. He's a very solid defender, reliable defender. His transition over to third was pretty seamlessly. Actually, I thought he played it really well. And some of it is the way he defends. He likes to play one-handed. He likes to play downhill. Those are really good attributes to have when you're playing third base, considering how hard the ball gets hit at you and in your reaction time. And, the little time he spent at second, I thought he handled himself, really well. That's probably the easiest of the three for him.
Yes.
It's going to be. The throw is the easiest. One of the things you have to, make sure that you think about when you play second a lot is being too conservative and letting the ball come to you too much because of how easy the throw is. So, those are the daily reminders when you're playing over there, like, hey, you're play second base just like shortstop.
Gavin Lux had that problem, I felt like. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just less stress on the throw. That's all you have to think about. So I thought he played extremely well this season. He did a really good job with his throwing. He improved his throwing dramatically from the year before. I want to say of his errors the year before, over half were throwing. And this year, I believe he cut it in half. Oh. So that was really good on his end. His footwork cleaned up, so he was able to make cleaner throws. Started to use that internal clock a lot better instead of always showing off the good arm.
Yeah.
Hey, sometimes let's just, when we get in that good two hop foot pattern, just make a nice, easy throw over first base and save your arm for that deep, tough one in the 6th hole. So I think that maturation part of his game helped him this year defensively. He also helped playing with older guys around him, seeing how they work and do their routines. So a lot of those things accounted for his success this season.
Yeah. So Ha-Seong Kim, the first time I saw him in media day last year, was like, oh my God. I mean, just the way that he was so smoothly able to cut the ball off and cut his throws in half, and just the footwork and the way he is able to use his great athletic ability and speed to actually benefit him in the ground ball game. Can you talk about Ha-Seong Kim and how impressive he is?
Yeah, he's, extremely athletic and gifted defender.
Yeah.
He had I would say the only thing we had a hard time with, and he admitted it, and I'm so happy that he came forth, because when he first came over, he had an extremely hard time adapting to how hard the ball was hit by the major league players and even the AAA players.
Wow.
Even in obviously in the league he had played in before, he felt that the ball wasn't consistently hit as hard. So we put a pocket radar on our fungos to make sure we were hitting the ball at a certain speed for him, so he could adapt quicker in spring training. And he did. He did an excellent job. And the relentless work that he does, I don't know where he gets the energy. He is ready to go as soon as he shows up to the ballpark. He does not take days off. Even when we would give him a day off in the field or that day of the game, he felt his culture, obviously when they don't play, they did something wrong. So he felt he was doing something wrong. Like, hey, did I not work hard enough the day before? And it was like, no, Kim, we're just giving you a breather today, buddy. You've gone hard since spring training. You had a swing change. You've done a lot, and you've done a lot very quickly. So for him to make a lot of those changes so quick just shows you how intelligent he is, his athletic ability, and the kind of player and the talent that he is.
I think the player in the system that made the most defensive improvement this year, if it's not Ryan Ward, probably is a 2 or 3 year process. I think his defense is underrated in the outfield because he's worked really hard to get better as a left fielder. I think he's going to probably profile his left fielder. I won't have you comment on that. But the guy I want you to comment on, Austin Gauthier. Gator is a guy that at the second base, I really think that he made a lot of strides, especially that play going back towards the bag to his right. I thought Gator made as many strides as anybody defensively.
Yeah, we had like a little kind of like phenomenon moment. I can't remember when. I don't know if it was All-Star break or maybe a tick before, tick after. We just kind of sat down together and I said, kind of talked it out. Like, I think you're in your head. You're a little too smart for yourself. A little times you make things a little difficult. Yeah, I wanted him to play free and athletic, and I said, not everything has to be the same. Not everyone has to play the position exactly the same as another guy. I said some guys just have that athletic ability or have that talent where they can do certain things. I think you need to play the position the way you want to play it. And it doesn't necessarily mean you have to square up to every ball. Play downhill, one-handed. You like to play that way. That was one way that you had a little success at third. Why can't you play second like that? Doesn't mean you're going to catch every single ball one-handed.
That makes sense. That's how he attacked that play to his right. That makes a lot of sense, Chris.
I said, you don't have to. I said, let's practice in a game, let's react. But in practice, I want you to do everything one-handed. I hit the ball at you, right at you, catch it one-handed. To your backhand, obviously, your forehand. Let's do everything one-handed. Let's attack everything downhill. And then in the game, let's react and play free and don't think about anything. And hopefully your motor skills after all this, after practicing every single day doing this, will just take over in the game. And I really believe around halfway through the season, he really turned it around. And that's on him. He put the work in. We just spoke about it, and I brought it to his attention, and he bought into it, and it's all on him. He did all the work. I thought his double play turns got a lot better. His throws were better. Like I said, he's a talented player. Hitting being offensive player is kind of his forte. But I told him, defense is going to get you to where you need to be eventually, and it's going to keep you there. So you need those attentions to detail that you do in the cage need to come out on the field, which that was never the issue. It was more of just how can we apply what you're doing in the field into a game? And I think this year it finally clicked.
Everybody wants to know about Ryan Ward's defense. Can you tell us about that? I know you're an infield coach, but you've gotten to see plenty of it the last 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, I mean, it's just gone like this since he's been in the system. It's all on him. The work that he's put in, constantly hearing that's the reason that he's not in the big leagues. Is that
frustrating to you when you see him every day and you're like, that's not a fair characterization anymore? Maybe it was at one time and not anymore?
Yeah, I mean, it's, sometimes players get a label on them, and it's hard to kick that label, and it's not fair to the player. And, you just have to, mind that or get that out of your head and don't listen to it and just do your job, which he's done. He's not a guy that worries about what other people say. So that's probably why he's been able to get better in the field while improving offensively each and every season. So, yeah, I mean, look, some people you're always going to have a criticism, and people aren't going to like the way you play a position or think that you can't play the position. And to my say is, how do you know until you put him out there and let him try?
Yeah.
So I think he's going to get his opportunity. He was added to the 40-man roster, which is awesome. He's earned it. It's all on him. He's worked his butt off to get to the position. He's at 6 years with the organization. That's hard to do.
Yes.
To play 6 years in the minor leagues, not be released, play pretty much at every single level, play every single day. And tells you what the org thinks of him, what we think of him as coaches. We have nothing but respect for that player like himself, and looking forward to him making his major league debut next year.
I don't like to compare prospects and make lists as far as who's better than this, who's better than that, because every player has their own box of tools that they have. And so who am I to say this box of tools is better than that box of tools? It's just different, right? But I've said on a couple different occasions, I really do think Noah Miller probably is the best defensive shortstop in the system, short of Mookie Betts. So can you talk about the defense of Noah Miller at shortstop?
I mean, yeah, he's about as gifted as it comes over there. Coming off the knee injury this year, I thought he handled himself really well. Maybe had a lack of range this season, but basically it was coming off that knee. So I wasn't anything I was worried about or am worried about it for his future. Now he'll have a full year recovery, full off season to recover. So that should bounce back for him this off season and going into next spring. I think you're going to get the 2023-24 version of Noah Miller defensively, range wise. Sneaky good arm. It doesn't come out real hot, but he's got really nice true carry on the ball, so it plays better than it shows. Quick release. He's about as gifted as they come when it comes to playing defense. That is a shortstop that if he improves offensively, that's a guy that you would lock down every day shortstop, major league quality. Can handle the bat. He's working on that. Those are the little things that he's learning. He's still young. It's in there. He's just got to tap into it.
Dalton Rushing, I know, he had a different role at the major league level, and I don't think that I've said this whenever I was talking to Dylan Nishotka. I don't think Dodgers fans at the major league level got to see the real Dalton Rushing in terms of what he's capable of doing and the type of player he's capable of being at the major league level. Can you talk about him?
Yeah, for sure. It goes to show the big leagues is hard, and it's really hard when you're not getting to play. And you have a superstar catcher you get to learn from, which is probably, if anything, he spent half the season learning from, if not the best catcher in Major League Baseball. Game what 6-7 here, game 6 hero, multiple times in the playoffs. He's just a steady guy. You can always depend on Will to be back there. And I think one thing Dalton, hopefully he got when his time up in the big leagues, is watching how Will went about his process,
Yes.
and the way he goes about his business. As far as him in the minor leagues, when we had him, he excelled. He did a great job offensively and defensively. I think defensively was a big rise in how he compared from the previous year. He did a lot better job with his receiving. He's got a tremendous arm.
He does.
I think that gets like kind of shaded off sometimes because we put so much emphasis on receiving and pitch framing, that he can shut a run game down with basically his arm. As long as the pitcher gives him a shot, he can shut the run game down, which is huge. That's a big deal, especially late in the season in the playoffs. Pitchers tend to want to make the right pitch, not make mistakes, so they tend to be a little slower to the plate. Well, now you have a catcher back there that can throw. Maybe the runner doesn't take off because he's like, well, even though he's a little slower to the plate, I got to get a perfect jump because the guy behind the plate will throw me out. So I think that was a big stride for him this year. And offensively, it'll be a challenge for him, not getting to play that every day in the big leagues as of now. That obviously could change. I don't know. That'll be up to what they do and how they play him. But he's got an opportunity to hit for sure. He's gifted. He's just got to learn, and it just goes to show you, like, there's no, just because you have a lot of success in the minor leagues offensively, it doesn't always translate right away in the big leagues because it's really hard. It's those guys are really good. And there's a reason why they're up there, and there's a reason why they get paid what they get paid. And I mean, if you ever watch Blake Trinan stuff, you'd think there's no way anybody is going to get hit. And he was here with us for a little bit this year, and I don't remember balls getting hit into the outfield.
Yeah.
And then he went up there, and they're major league hitters. And it wasn't that he had a bad season, just not a Blake Trinan type year.
Right.
And so he still helped us win a ton of games. But that just goes to show you, like, it's tough. It's hard to be a major league player.
Okay, last question for me. I've taken a lot of your time here, Chris. I know you're super busy. Thank you so much for joining Dodgers Dogs as part of the Dodgers Daily Network. It's a true honor. So I know every player is probably a little bit different, but can you take us through a general routine for a professional infielder pregame that they typically do every day? And then what was it like for you to get to watch the Dodgers go back-to-back?
Yeah, so on the first part of the question, typical infield routine is some type of like isolation, whether they isolate the lower half, take the feet out of it, get their hands working. We'll tend to do a lot of short hops, in-between hops, get that going. Some guys don't like that. Some guys want to incorporate their feet. They don't like the isolation. I tend to think of like a Trey Sweeney. I didn't like to do isolation with him because he liked to sit back on balls, and he had good hands. So I was like, well, let's not work on something that can maybe contribute to you staying back on the balls. Let's work through balls. So with him, we didn't go on our knees. Alex likes to do it. Likes to start off on his knees. Hyson as well. Most of the guys kind of do something along that line. And then the next step is either like a short fungo where they can move back and forth, where we can control the drill with our fungo and the speed of the ball. And then some players wanted, like Hyson, wanted to hit hard, even though it was a short distance. He wanted that reaction time and getting off the ball. So I think all of those little things contribute to a major league or a professional player's routine on a daily basis. I know some guys like the little red machine. We don't really like it. We don't really believe in it because it's not realistic.
Right.
As far as like creating the hop. The hop is different each time when you're on the baseball field. So why would we practice the perfect hop every time when we don't really get that? Unless we should be creating the perfect hop with how we attack the ball with our feet, not a machine doing it
Well,
for
if
us.
you can't catch a perfect hop, you're not going to be in the professionals very long.
No doubt. So yeah, I that's a lot of it is that on the side. Some guys like the flat glove. A lot of them use the little glove.
Yeah.
Alex likes to start with a no glove and use little balls.
Yeah.
So yeah, they each have.
So
like
do you
their own
teach to
little
trap
thing.
the ball or to catch the ball as an infielder?
Yeah, we want to catch the ball in the glove. Like we teach. So on the backhand, we want the ball in the web of our glove.
Okay.
Right, deep in the glove.
Okay.
When we're fielding it with our forehand, we kind of want it in between these two fingers right here. Right. So we don't want to catch the ball here. And we don't want to catch it too deep in our pocket because that's when we have the hard time of picking it out. But the backhand, we want it deep and close to the web as possible. Nice. So we practice that in our drill work, keeping our head behind the ball and where we're catching it. That's a lot of the detailed work in those. Is that obviously you're not going to miss a ball that I'm tossing to 3 feet away, but we're working on our posture and our glove angle and how we're going to work through that ball.
Okay, Fungos, are you a top hand or a bottom hand flipper?
Oh, top hand.
Top hand, so you're pretty. You still got the pretty look to you then, right?
Yeah. I can't do the bottom hand toss, like no shot. Throwing hand, so my bottom hand's on the bat.
Nice.
Toss, and
flip it from behind, get you a couple shuffles.
Key is to everyone, because I'm really pretty good at it, hitting a fungo.
You are good at it.
The key is like not throwing it too. The toss is the key.
Oh, absolutely, it is.
I see some guys throw it too high, so then they get too steep. Yeah, that causes the backspin. We want to hit the ball like you hit, like how ground balls are hit in games. They're hit with topspin.
Yeah.
So all I thought about is like throw it low and hit it just the way I did at Oklahoma State, right in the 6 hole.
Yeah, fantastic, man, fantastic. Chris Gutierrez, I've taken a lot of your time, but this has been a hell of a lot of fun for me to get to catch up with you again. Go Pokes, go Dodgers. Thank you so much for joining, my man.
Absolutely, no problem. Thanks, Case.